Fuck. And make sure everything's working correctly. That's so funny. It's loading. Okay. We are good. What's up, everybody? Joshua Mobley here. This is The Fountain, a Dota 2 podcast, the official Dota 2 podcast of the Arcane Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Joshua Mobley. With me this week is Chris Parthamos.
Hello.
And his dog. Who has just decided to take up residence in our stream. Yes.
Yes, he has.
Yes. We have... You said not as much news this week?
Slightly less.
Slightly less news?
I mean, the DAC is still going on. Starladder is now Starladder is now over.
Starladder's already over? I thought it just started.
No, they had a winner. Empire won this round.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched some of the DAC. They were the qualifiers, right? We don't get the real one until next month.
Yeah, it's still in the qualifying stage.
Yeah, I watched some of the qualifiers and they were pretty good. I'm sad I missed El Clasico, though. But
yeah.
Because I was watching it on the Track Dota mini map, like at a 1-year-old's birthday party, like ooh. But yeah.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Yeah.
There's some like little things like Fanscore got kicked from Navi.
Who?
Arise. Fanscore.
I don't know who that
He was
is.
one of their support players. Arise isn't on Tinker anymore, which he says he was never really on it. He was just a stand-in. So I don't really know what's going on with that team. They seem to have a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I'd actually be kind of surprised if they were even still around by the national. Where things are going.
Well, I guess we'll get into the
New Bloom is coming.
Yes.
It has not arrived.
I guess we'll get into the news formally. I can't play the bump on the stream right now, so audio people are about to hear it, and stream people will just see us. So, anyway, we'll get on with the news here. We'll get that out of the way.
Yeah, New Bloom is happening.
Yes,
Soon.
New Bloom, which last year wasn't that great.
Yeah, I didn't care for the event. This year might be a bit more or less. I'm not sure, but it should probably coincide with what they've been talking about with the update to the particle system and the update to how they implement custom game modes. They kind of hinted at that, like that's why they didn't do Dire Tide or anything for Frostidus or whatever. Like they have this big engine overhaul happening, so that should happen soon.
Yeah,
as part of the New Bloom, that's when they said they were going to. And I would not be surprised if New Bloom also was when they finally trotted out the last like 2 remaining international stretch goals, like the Void remodel and the Spectre thing.
Oh yeah.
The voice pack for Spectre.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
Other than that, I mean, if you want, go into the workshop and vote on people's little sets that they've been making. But other than that, not a lot of news.
I've seen some of those, and they are weird. They're very weird.
Some of them are really weird. Some of them are really, really weird. Some of the sets are taking like a very over-the-top vibe. There's a set that like people keep talking about on Reddit. Like some of them are like, "Oh my god, this is amazing," and most of them are like, "This is too much. Stop." I swear to God, it's for Venge and for Skywrath. It's like a pair of sets, and they look like characters from El Shaddai. Like it's they look like Japanese like mecha characters, and not even like Gundam, like full on. Oh, Christ, just over the top is the word I'm looking for. Over the top.
Yeah, they're a little much.
A little much.
But yeah, I hope. Are they gonna bring back the same New Bloom game mode? Do you know? Is it just gonna be the dragon again?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I would assume that it would be different because it's a different year, and the creature from last year was, designed after it being the year of the dragon or whatever.
What is this year?
This is the year of the ram, which is why all of the sets, like pretty much all of the sets, have ram horns in them, which is amazing creativity. But
Did
it is kind of what Valve asked for, so I can't really blame them.
Did that Earthshaker one that you sent me? Is that one that had ram horns in it,
that
right?
Was made for New Bloom. Whether or not it's gonna be in the shop, I don't know, but it was made for New Bloom.
Okay. Yeah. That one actually looks cool. I wouldn't give up my Magma set, though, for that. I love that set.
No.
So, I mean, you don't have to, but I like it too much.
Yeah.
But, the other thing you were saying about the engine overhaul, I really hope we get custom game matchmaking. Pudge Wars matchmaking.
Yeah, that's what's supposed to... I mean, they haven't, been 100% clear on it, but that's how it was in Dota 1, more or less. I mean, it was the same to do a custom mode as it was to the, vanilla mode. And hopefully that'll be how it is now. So I don't know. I'm sure they're going to have some kind of limiting thing on it because they've been very, clear in the past on their priorities and making sure that they don't drive up matchmaking times too high by having too many options.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't want it's funny because during the beta matchmaking took forever. It took 2 minutes, and for me coming off League of Legends took 10 seconds. And then coming into Dota, when I was first dipping my toes in it, I'd be like, oh, there's 2 minute waits. They're so long. And then eventually eventually they did something where they overhauled the way the matchmaking worked, or when the beta opened up more. They let the matchmaking got better, and then all of a sudden it was only 30 seconds. I was like, oh, this is great. Now it's back to being 2 minutes and stuff. But
you're lucky.
A
lot of times for ranked captain's mode, it's a 10-minute wait.
Jesus. Well, it's worth it, I guess. Especially if you're gonna do captain's mode. You have to have a good captain.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely I would rather wait 10 minutes, honestly, than have it just be well, we need a fifth person for this game of people 3,000 MMR higher than you.
Yeah.
Go.
No, thank you.
Go play with our team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a fun experience for you.
Yeah. That won't be fun at all. So New Bloom, coming updates. The
continued Juggernaut nerfs.
Yes.
I don't think the small nerf that they did recently is enough.
What did they do?
They lowered his armor by 1, which mostly was just there to make up for the fact that they previously increased his agility by 6. So they did that so that he wouldn't have more armor and more damage. And then they decreased the cast range on Omni Slash by a very small amount. Well, I mean, not that small. There's 100. But fairly small.
He still feels really strong.
Yeah, no, he's still the things that made him strong are still the things that make him strong.
Yeah. Like his
He's still
attack
a
speed
character
is.
that's been buffed consistently for the last like 2 years, and
Mhm.
they finally nerfed him. And it was like, one less armor.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
I
That's
don't know
enough.
how to. I don't know. I mean, he's our hero of the week, so we're gonna talk about him more in depth,
I have,
obviously. But you have ideas?
I have.
Okay,
I'll talk about
we'll
it.
talk about that.
Okay.
The one thing I was gonna bring up in the news category is that the DAC compendium got updated. So
That's right.
yes, so now you can
Does he
vote
have
on
where
like,
you vote?
huh?
Go in and vote? Yeah.
Yeah, you can vote for all the. You only have like 12 days, so by the time there's a new episode of this, it's gonna be over. So you need to do it. You have to get all your votes in. They have the voice pack votes. They have, or it's like the Chinese voice pack votes. They have the, like, who do you want to see in the All-Star game? They have some other ones. And you get a bunch of points for voting. So I did it. I hit level 5, got my loading screen pack. So, not that I don't care about loading screens at all. I don't know how you feel about them. I couldn't care less.
I like that they exist, but I don't like care that much about them.
Right.
It's certainly not something I ever go out of my way to get, because at this point all of the sets come with loading screens.
Yeah.
So like anytime you get a set, you get a loading screen, and anytime you like get a tournament, you get a loading screen. And most of the time that I bet on the game, I end up winning like 15 loading screens. So I have like something like 70 loading screens.
Jesus.
So I don't really care about them anymore.
I just always bet them. Like bet the ones
Yeah,
I hate, because it's like if they go away, I don't care, but if I get something for them, like sure, you know.
I bet loading screens too. I just delete them. I keep getting.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, what else happened between now and the last episode? There was an update, but I think wasn't it just tickets and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few little updates, but it was just the Juggernaut nerf and the tickets and some like I don't know, it's probably some fairly minor things, but nothing substantial.
Well, all right. Well, I think that's actually it for news. Only like 12
right.
minutes in.
Like I
But
said, we didn't have much.
yeah. But yeah, so I guess we'll talk about our hero of the week, which is Juggernaut. If you haven't figured that out already, I'm actually pull up his abilities right now. But Juggernaut, ridiculously powerful. We decided we wanted to talk about him this week just because we've seen him in almost every game, and I think the last episodes when you mentioned that he has like 100% ban rate at like the higher MMRs and
Yeah,
stuff.
he has a. I don't know if that's still true, but in the like days just after the most recent patch, not the one that nerfed him, but the one that made him super strong, he had a 100% pick and ban rate at high MMRs, like beyond 5,000. He was either in the game or he had been banned.
Interesting. But he had a presence either way.
But that's just crazy for something to happen at that high.
Do you... Whoa. Listeners have no idea what's happening, but Chris's dog is just anxious for attention. Just hanging out on the stream.
Yeah. Part of the show.
Anyway, I'm actually going on Dota Buff right now trying to find, let me see, Juggernaut. Trying to figure out his, what's he all about, you know? See what's going on with that. But anyway,
Figure him out.
What? I wanted to...
So we actually, in preparation for this, we played a game with Juggernaut or two.
Yeah.
I've played a few games with him recently, and Josh played him just this afternoon.
Yes.
We did win that game. Of course we did, because Juggernaut is very strong.
Because Juggernaut, yeah. Let's see. Yes, he's in It says as of today he's in like 39% of the games. His win rate has actually gone down in the last week. But it's
Well,
probably
I mean, it's kind of an effect of like the more popular a hero becomes, the lower his win rate's going to go because people who don't play well start to play him just because they think that if they play him,
yeah.
it's automatic
Oh
win.
my god. It's the Axe thing. After all those DAC qualifier matches, everybody's like, "Oh man, Axe is doing so well. I should play as Axe." Which is a huge mistake because Axe
Right.
is kind of hard to play as. It
Yeah, to
doesn't
play
seem
Axe
like it.
effectively is actually very difficult.
Yeah, people just think I'm Axe. If I get hit, I'll do damage to them. And it's like, yeah, but you still need like all that armor. You still need like
Yeah,
support from your team.
you still need to not die. Not
Yeah.
dying is hard.
Yeah. But he still has a 54.72 win rate this month. Juggernaut.
Very high.
Yes. Very, very high. Two most popular items he's had are Phase Boots, Aghanim Scepter, and a Battle Fury in third, which I find strange.
If that's still in the recommended items, keep in mind that when you're Omni Slashing, you're doing additional attacks, and all of the additional attacks are going to have the Battle Fury on it. So it's kind of like building one on Emperor Spirit, just it's only on your ult rather than
Interesting.
on that short cooldown.
It's pretty goddamn
And of
good.
course, like with any other hero, if you build a Battle Fury quick enough, it's going to really accelerate on.
Also, Desolator is in the top 5.
Yeah. And again, good synergy with the ult there because hitting them with the Desolator, which you'll do automatically as you're Omni Slashing them, will lower their armor, which will make your Omni Slash hurt.
Yeah. Worst versus this month against Drow Ranger, apparently. Drow Ranger has a 49% win rate against Juggernaut this month.
I guess because of silence.
Silence and slow.
Probably. Silence and then just the physical burst.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because he actually doesn't have a lot of health. I don't think. Like, so if you can actually get him from slashing or get him from using his ult or his like spin or something, like you can mess him up really fast. It's just like
Yeah.
And also there's this weird huh? I'm still on Dota buff. I was gonna say there's the most popular ability build, which is 13% build rate. They seem to just neglect the healing ward at all until later, which I find strange. I mean, it makes sense, but it.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of players do that. I mean, and it seems like the standard pro build at this point is like 1-1-1 and then stats and then the ult for a while, and then they'll max things later. It's like if you're at level 8, you have 1-1-1 and the ult and stats, you can solo Roshan like very easily. You just pop the healing ward, and then you just crit him to death.
Yeah. Very, very true. He is good at doing Roshan, and he's good at like even if you're not going to get the Aegis, he's good to just be in Roshan because of the healing ward. But I'm not seeing any other like crazy Dota buff things. But apparently he's got 780 years of play this month, so.
That's insane.
Yeah. Anyway, well, now let's just start talking about him. He is considered a carry and apparently a pusher, according to Dota Wiki, or Gamepedia, I should say.
That has a lot to do with the healing ward. So, like, that's kind of one of the things that's changed about him after the recent buff. Like, it used to be that Juggernaut was kind of known as, like, this very early game oriented carry that was all about, like, group pushes that you would have the healing ward and it would sustain your push really, really well. So if you had him with like, somebody like a Chen or something like that, where you have this like big army that's all pushing one lane, he would keep the push going.
Mm-hmm.
And he would fall off really hard because he didn't scale as well as he does. He's still like generally thought of as not somebody who can carry a game entirely by himself. Like he's not a super late game carry, but he has a lot more damage now, so he
Yeah.
does go late a
I
lot better.
I can't even recall when we played today, like who else was the carry. I don't remember. Was it
Slark,
Slark?
who goes late pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
So
it would have been harder if he didn't have that.
right. Okay. So Juggernaut's first ability, his Q, is called Blade Fury, which reads causes a blade storm of destructive force around Juggernaut, rendering him immune to magic and dealing damage to nearby enemies last 5 seconds. Um, this ability is fantastic, and what's great about it is that it keeps people from casting spells on you, it keeps people from stunning you, and it's really good if you can especially when we were playing that game with Slark, if he can jump on like a few people and keep them locked down, if you can Blade Fury into his, into them and do just a ton of damage,
Yeah,
it
I mean
works amazing.
that kind of goes back to like old school versus new school jug, and it's still a little bit new school jug too. It's just not quite as emphasized. Like it used to be that people would always talk about the good combos with Juggernaut. Would be somebody like a Crystal Maiden who has that like super strong root early game and then the slow. Like somebody where you can really keep them inside the Blade Fury for an extended period of time. Venomancer slow or something like that. Like those were kind of known to be the strong Juggernaut combos. And still are.
Yeah. I'm trying to read some of these notes. It also just using it says it dispels all buffs and debuffs. So, for instance, like we were talking about last week when we talked about Bloodseeker, the reason why you wouldn't want to rupture him, which is your ultimate as Bloodseeker, is because he can just use Blade Fury and then it's over. Is that true?
I don't think Rupture can be dispelled.
Is that true?
No, I don't think Rupture can be dispelled. Like, the reason you don't want to Rupture Juggernaut is because of his ult. Like,
Ah, yes.
normally the idea behind Rupture would be like, normally the idea behind Rupture would be to rupture him, and then he has to, like, stand there and, your whole team comes over and wails on the person that you ruptured or you go over. But, like, with Juggernaut, the real Bloodseeker can be okay versus Juggernaut if you can get the silence off, but that's really what you need to get on it.
Yeah.
Rupture.
Right.
Anyway. Yeah, he this is really good. I mean, one of the things that a lot of the pro players will do, because they'll always have TP scrolls on them, is when they'll push the lane out pretty far with Juggernaut, and then if somebody comes at them, they'll just pop Blade Fury and teleport. And because they're magic immune, unless you have somebody like Thane or Enigma or Beastmaster who have like powerful ultimate BKB piercing stuns, you're kind of screwed. Like he's just gonna get away.
Right. There's even a note here that says that you can use items like while you're channeling, which also coincides with what you said. It says cleave works normally even while spinning, and will still damage appropriate targets.
You can right click things while you spin, but you can only right click things that aren't being hit by the magic damage from the spin. So if like you're there's a few different things I've seen people do with this. Like one thing I've seen people do is if they want to get like a kind of risky deny or tower hit, they'll spin and then attack the tower because the tower won't take spin damage, and that'll help get the deny or the tower hit. If you're fighting a carry that has BKB pop, you can spin and still right click the carry, and that'll just make sure you're magic immune, but you're still doing your right click damage, which at a certain point is going to be a lot higher than the Blade Fury damage.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff you can keep in mind.
Cool. I don't have anything else really to say about the spin, unless you do.
Yep. Let's talk about Healing Ward.
Healing Ward!
W, if you will. You summon a healing ward that heals all nearby allied units based on their max hit points. Healing ward move at 450 movement speed after being summoned, so pretty quick, and it lasts for 25 seconds. This is a really powerful spell that a lot of people tend to ignore on both sides. Like, sometimes I see Juggernauts not use it, and that makes them a lot weaker because the healing ward is a big part of Juggernaut's survivability, because like you mentioned, he doesn't have as much health as some heroes, and not even quite as much armor as others. And it also helps his allies a lot too. And on the other side of that coin, it's fairly easy to kill the healing word.
It has 1 hit point.
Yeah, it's pretty much you just click on it and it dies.
Yeah.
But you tend to see in a lot of games, not even necessarily super low level games, like the healing ward just gets left alone.
Yeah. Well, especially if they position it just right in a team fight. Like if the Juggernaut puts it kind of behind, behind the line of fire or anything, like it'll stay there because people can't really reach it. And it's immune to spells, right? You can't like a PA couldn't dagger it or anything.
You can't. Yeah, you definitely can't Dagon it. You can't I don't know, pop a macro pyre and then Jug has to like make sure he doesn't accidentally walk it through the fire or something like that.
Right.
Something like that.
Does not heal siege creeps either.
It does not. Yeah, it doesn't work on stuff. This is one of the things. Like I said, this is what lets him solo Roche, because Roche will ignore it unless you are an idiot and micro it in front of Roche for some reason. Like try and get it to tank for you, so it'll only tank 1 hit. Like you just put it off to the side, it'll heal you faster than Roche can damage you, really, and then you just kill Roche.
Yeah.
So that's
the healing ward.
That's the healing ward.
I actually find it kind of hard to micro, because usually I can push I have tab to select my micro units, and I don't think it works for the healing ward. And if it does,
yeah, I think that it works differently because it is a word rather than like an actual unit.
Mm-hmm.
Those do function a little bit differently, but I don't know. I don't play Juggernaut enough, so
I you know what,
I
another
usually
thing another thing
enough for me to micro it. I just micro it.
Yeah, another thing I wish is that instead of just placing the ward, I wish that I could target it on someone. Like if I target it on you, it'll come up in that area and then it will follow you automatically. Like if I actually click on you as opposed to just clicking in an area. I wish I could do that, but I cannot.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a pretty good skill. I don't think it needs any little usability buffs.
Yeah.
Next is Blade Dance.
The ridiculousness.
Blade Dance is pretty simple. It's critical strike. That's it. Gives Juggernaut a chance to deal double damage on each attack. Has a very high chance, and this is one of the things that was buffed about the hero. It has the same chance at the maximum level that it has had for a long time, but they buffed it so that it's much stronger at early levels. So even 1 point in it is very, very strong.
Yeah, 20%, like that's redonk.
Yeah, it is statistically the best non-ultimate crit skill in the game. Obviously, PA is like, crazy ultimate 700% whatever crit is better.
Is it really 700%?
It's like 650. It's huge.
Oh my god.
But Juggernauts is the best. It's better than Wraith Kings. It's better than Chaos Knights. Better than Lycans. So Lycans goes with Wolves too.
Right.
It's crazy. So good.
And it saves lives.
This is why it's strong. He's stronger now, in this most recent patch because of that change. Because traditionally, like the build for Jug had been to focus on Blade Fury and try and snowball basically off of Blade Fury kills in lane. And that can work pretty well in pub games where people maybe aren't playing as safe, or they don't know what to do if they get rooted or they play too far forward or whatever. But usually pros can figure out how to get away from Blade Fury. So he wasn't as strong in pro games, and it's also like it's a very big all-in risky thing. Like, let's hope that our carry gets kills with his skill early, because otherwise he's not going to go late that well.
Right.
But now, it's not all about the Blade Fury. Like I said, you'll see the pros get 1 point Blade Fury as much for the magic immunity as for the damage. 1 for the healing ward so they can have it, and then the crit, 1 point crit, because it's super strong in 1 point, and then stats. So they do more damage and live longer and have more mana, and it's insane.
Yeah.
Too good.
Yeah, it's pretty goddamn good. It's especially when it lands. You have these like one-on-one fights with people sometimes. And it looks like I might not make it, and then all of a sudden it's like, wah! You get that one crit, changes everything. It does so much.
You get
damage.
like 2 in a row, and all of a sudden they went from having like 300 more health than you to being dead.
Yeah.
So last but not least, is Omnislash.
Omnislash. The craziest, most infuriating ability.
Juggernaut leaps towards the target enemy with a damaging attack, and then slashes other nearby enemy units, dealing between 200 to 225 damage per slash. Juggernaut is invulnerable for the duration. Upgradable by Aghanim Scepter.
And Aghanims, you always get it. Like, there's almost no reason not to, because you get 3 extra jumps at every level. And
it's super good.
Max level Omnislash with Ags is just ridiculous in a team fight. Like,
it scales so well. This ult, like it the first point that you get in it, it's what, like 3 slashes?
3 slashes, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not going to kill anybody unless you get it on just them, no creeps whatsoever. But if you do, you might kill that person. But like once you get a couple points in it, man, it's strong. Important thing to note about Omnislash. Like with Blade Fury, Juggernaut can use items during Omnislash, and Juggernaut can attack during Omnislash. So in between the like jumps and the bounces that are doing the flat damage, you're doing additional attacks that can that do whatever your attack damage is, that can proc any items that you might have, which is why people build Desolator on him, or Maelstrom or Mjolnir on him, because that can proc during the Omnislash. It's really strong. This is why Juggernaut has such a low base attack time. He has one of the lowest base attack times in the game. So that if you get sufficient attack speed on him, I believe you get 2 attacks per jump, and that's the highest. But that's still a lot.
Yeah. His basic, like, his attack speed at level 1 is really fast, and then by the end, it's, like, ridiculous. Like, it's so fast.
Why, one of the items that's become pretty vogue on him in pro play is actually Mask of Madness.
I saw that on the Dota buff thing. It was like the 3rd item.
Then Omnislash, and with that, I think just with the buff from Mask of Madness at level 8 with the build I was talking about, the 1/1/1 at stat, I think that's enough to get you to the 2 attacks per slash point.
Right. And then you'll
at low levels is really strong. And you're invulnerable during the Omnislash, so the fact that you're taking more damage isn't really hurting you. And once you've Omnislash people, if you pulled that off, you're in a pretty good place to just hack away with your crazy crit and stay sustained.
Yeah. It also says that it applies a 0.13 second mini stun, which I never realized. So it's
Yeah, it's a little hard to notice, but if you ever like kind of feel like you're stuttering when you're being omni slashed,
that's the mini stun.
there's kind of yeah. I mean, I think it's so that you can't just like teleport away when you see Juggernaut.
Right.
Just be like, hey. So this is why talking about popularity of Juggernaut. These are the items, and most people know this, but in case you don't, or in case you get a reminder, the items that you want versus a Juggernaut. Ghost Scepter is very good.
Oh yeah.
Put Ghost Scepter on yourself, and Omni Slash and the attacks between it won't hurt you. Force Staff. You can shoot yourself away from it, and then it will jump to something else, and you'll most likely be fine. There is a very small chance that if you Force Staff at the wrong time, you'll just Force Staff him away from everyone else, and he'll just slash you to death, which sucks for you, but can save everybody else's lives.
Yeah.
So it's still an okay outcome.
Sometimes you
Also
gotta.
good is Yul's Scepter.
Oh
Because
yes.
you can put yourself in the air. And the nice thing about Yul's Scepter versus Ghost Scepter, it is more expensive, but if it's an item that's good on you anyway, you probably want that because Ghost Scepter can't be purged. Your Yul's Scepter can't be purged, but Ghost Scepter can be. So if Juggernaut buys a Fusel Blade, or if anybody else on this team has a Fusel Blade,
Or there's an oracle.
they can just purge. Or there's an Oracle, or anything else that has a purge. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can purge the Ghost Scepter, and then you spend 1,600 gold on something that doesn't counter the thing you wanted it to
Yeah.
counter.
It doesn't give you stats, right? Ghost Scepter doesn't have any.
It does.
It does have
actually.
stats?
It gives you, I want to say, 7 of each stat. It's actually, it's a very good item. You should buy Ghost Scepter.
Gotcha.
But
I'm trying to think of good combos.
with him,
Yes, like with Juggernaut. And the only one I've experienced, at least recently, was Slark, and it's only because he just holds people in place.
yeah, I mean, any good, solid root or stun is very good with Blade Fury. Like I said, Crystal Maiden used to be kind of the classic, because he does have mana problems early, so her aura helps a lot.
Uh-huh.
And then her root and slow pretty much make sure that whatever you use it on takes the full Blade Fury. Venomancer, again, because of the slows.
Right. I just thought of a good one. Treant can blink in, root, and then you can ult, and everybody has to stay in place, basically.
Yeah, Treant is good. Oracle is good because he has a very long duration root, and he can also help make sure that you don't get jumped and have your Omni Slash prevented. Because he can save you with his ult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variety.
There's a lot of variety with what's it. That's kind of a nice thing. He's not somebody that has like niche picks around him that require specific picks. Like there's a lot of things that are very good with Juggernaut. Agnes is very good with Juggernaut because you can put Empower on him and it doesn't need to get the Battle Fury, which is kind of a waste.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, put the Battle Fury on him, and then if you get like a good solid Blink RP and get a couple people together and the Omni Slashes with power up, they're pretty much all dead. They're just all dead.
It's all screwed.
There's a lot of good combos. Good things versus Juggernaut. I mean, the Ghost Scepter rule applies, so anything that can take somebody out of the game for a few seconds, defensively or offensively, is going to help. Shadow Demon is good because you can disrupt. OD can Astral Imprison, and that'll protect whoever you use that on. So that could be a good, Juggernaut jumps on your carry. You can make sure your carry does get Omni Slash to death.
Mm-hmm. I would argue that OD would probably be better because you drain intelligence, and if he's already a little down on mana,
Yeah, that's
like you can keep his mana low.
if you can get a silencer is good for that same reason because you'll permanently steal the intelligence over time, and if you can keep kind of killing him, especially if you can kill him, using the global silence to make sure he doesn't get his combo off, kill him during it, and eventually you'll make sure that he has to make some decisions because he really doesn't have that much mana, and if he has to conserve it all for his Omni Slash, then he's not able to spin and use the ward, which
Silencer.
is really useful. Omni Knight can be good if he's positioned well, or if he gets an Aghanim Scepter to make sure that your team doesn't take the physical damage from Omni Slash. Yeah, silences are good too. Just make sure that he dies while he's silenced. And then anybody who has summons is generally pretty solid. Beastmaster, Lycan, even Invoker. Yeah, I mean, less a Warlock because they're very valuable summons, but like people who can just produce a large number of units so that Juggernaut's Omni Slash diffuses onto a lot of different targets.
There you go, Necronomicon.
Necronomicon, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good.
There's a lot of different ways to go about it, but
yeah,
that's why you don't want him to be the carry for your team. Generally speaking, right. I think a lot of times the pro players will have Juggernaut as in the safe lane where they have kind of a later game carry in either the off lane or the mid lane, like kind of playing the long game. Like he's pretty good if you have Void in your off lane, playing the space creating, going to the late game as Void, and Juggernaut in your safe lane, kind of buying you the early to mid game. You're doing pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it's funny because we were just talking about earlier how the meta is, and then how each game sort of has its own meta, and it's sad that in pubs people can't adapt quick enough. It seems
it's very interesting.
People are very I want to buy blade mail, and I'm going to do everything I can to buy blade mail, and they might actually benefit more from buying a Ghost Scepter or something first, just to protect their assets, and
don't think that blade mail is going to help you versus Juggernaut. It's not going to help you.
Well, it's not. I was just trying to pick a cheap item that somebody would go after.
I'm just telling that they know, because I've seen people do that. They're like, I'm going to buy this blade mail and then pop it while he's Omni Slashing, and then die. I wonder why nothing happened with my blade.
Yeah. Well, I just meant I was like, oh, what's a cheap item that everybody buys that I could think of?
Another decent hero versus Juggernaut, as far as the rest of your team goes, is I've noticed in that game that we played is Bristleback. Because Juggernaut, Bristleback can actually, if he's doing well, tank almost an entire Omni Slash, even late game.
Yeah.
And the entire time that he's getting Omni Slashed, quills are just firing out of it and killing everyone else on your team. So
yeah, man,
that was really annoying.
Those freaking quills. Yeah.
And I was trying to get away from Bristleback, who was shooting out quills because you were Omni Slashing it, and your Omni Slash would kill him over and over and over.
Well, I apologize. We still won, though.
We did still win, because Juggernaut is still a really good.
Yes.
And because Lena with Ags shits on teammates, but that's side point.
Yeah. Trying to see if there's any fun facts that we might have missed, but I don't see any. Huh?
Yeah, he's a good hero.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was just looking up, they have tips on the wiki, and most of these are things that you brought up, which is funny. And then trivia Juggernaut is tied with Oracle for the lowest basic attack damage in the game of any hero unbuffed by spells. Only Alchemist with level 2 and 3 Chemical Rage reaches a lower basic attack time.
Yep.
Yeah. However, because Juggernaut's large agility growth and it being his primary attribute, he benefits far more from attack speed and agility than Oracle. Well, obviously. Yeah. I think that's it. Oh, no, that's not it. Because you had ideas on how to nerf this guy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was going to talk about that. So here's what I think. I think right now he's way too versatile. I don't know if they decided that like having him be the all-in early game carry is just not something that's ever going to happen. And I think that might be kind of true. The meta hasn't supported that for a long time. But I do think that having him like be able to do the 1-1-1-1 and stats build and like be able to team fight really well and push really well and solo Roche and do solo pickoffs really well, like, it's a little too much. So here are my ideas. One, slight nerf to healing ward. Either to the idea that I had for it would be to have it be harder to get rid of, but harder like heal slower, so that it's more reliable in a team fight, but it's less powerful overall. Basically, that's around the idea of now you can't necessarily use it to just solo Roche from level 1 by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I had in mind was I don't really think if you're gonna like I think either revert the agility nerfs buff slightly or take a look. I just think his attack speed's too much. I've thought that at this point, the way they've buffed him, I don't think his Omni Slash jumps need to be quite as strong. I wouldn't nerf it a lot, but like slightly less damage on each jump.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's because right now it's all focused around he does so much damage with his damn crit and his right clicks that the fact that Omni Slash does that much is just kind of So I don't know, maybe lower it to like instead of 200 to 225, just lower it by 50 per jump, so it's 150 to 175.
Yeah.
Those nerfs that I had.
The only one that I could really think of, I like your healing ward idea. I would say like give it like 200 HP instead, but then like reduce the range and the healing like per second on it, so that early game it makes more sense early game because it's like then you don't have to buy Tango and stuff, because you could just use that, because then early game it would take like 1 or 2 hits to take out, but then actually even like 150 HP would be fine. But
well, I think it ought to work like Phoenix's egg, where it's just it takes like a flat. It could even scale like 2, 3, 4, 5 hits or whatever. I don't know what the exact number should be, but just have it take like a flat number of hits.
Yeah, that could work too.
Fine if it was even less than it feels now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say about Juggernaut.
That's all I got.
Alrighty. Well, this has been The Fountain, Dota 2 podcast. You can find us on our YouTube channel, which is ArcaneCom, youtube.com/ArcaneCom. You can find us on Twitter. We're at FountainDota2. And we have an official Steam group now. Just search for The Fountain, a Dota 2 podcast on our Steam group and come hang out. We put up our Hero of the Week thing ahead of time. We ask, for questions, that kind of stuff. And we hope to see you soon. Also, I got an email today. I don't know if this has affected us. I don't think this has affected us. But if you're listening to the show on Stitcher, which is the audio version, apparently their servers have been having trouble updating new episodes and stuff in the last week, and they're working on it. So if you have not got or you know, if there's episodes of delay, that's not my fault. Stitcher's fault. But you can always come to the YouTube and watch the video there, that kind of stuff. But anyway, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye.